Okay. Yeah. So if I open recent file, we can see the discussion about JDBC template and the named parameter JDBC template. We understand that on top of JDBC API, simplified template classes given to us in JDBC module. In Spring JDBC module, two simplified classes given like JDBC template and the named parameter JDBC template classes to make JDBC logic simple and easy maintainable. Okay, so we understand all the features and benefits of them. With the JDBC template, we can able to write all the queries, but we should be using as a placeholder question marks like query strings we are using and passing data. Whereas in named parameter template, instead of query string to give the input field values, we are using name parameters. That is the only difference we found. Okay, and we failed to execute it in the last session, right? Actually, I just uninstalled my software, Arkill, and reinstalled it. Now it is working. Okay, I think via JDBC template we tested it. It was working fine, if I am correct. Okay, and with the named parameter template, not work. Okay, then yeah, let's first see this one named parameter. If it is working, template also will work. Okay, so let's see with this one named parameter template. I auto wired here and using named parameter template, doing select query to get the max ID. Anyway, this approach is not recommended. There is a second method for save with the sequence, getting sequence value into ID and creating a map for insert. Insert into RBO experts, ID name, email values, given placeholders with map object. Okay, yeah, let's run this one. And this named parameter template implementation DAO only auto wired into service. Okay, I'm using the same row for save, update, delete, select one again into student, select all into list of student. Let's run it. Application started. Okay, so Tomcat started. All our objects created along with the servlet. Okay, I think data source also created. That created named parameter template that must be automated. Means everything is ready. All the objects are ready. Just as soon as I pass this data, it will insert. Let's see what data already I have. Yesterday I tried. I created again. Okay, I deleted complete database. Created new sequence starting with 1000. That's why I started. I mean here application started giving ID 1000 first. For next user, whoever I insert here, right? It will give 1001, 1001, 1002. It follows that order. Registered, record got inserted, ID I got 1000. If I select, I can see it. Okay, so insert is working. Now if you want to list all, big decimal cannot be casted to integer. Type casting error in a DAO class. Okay, by default it is giving in the form of big decimal. So big decimal to integer, you know, right? Big decimal, you have to type cast. You'll be getting ID in the form of big decimal, big decimal dot into value. Okay. Yeah. By default, in the form of big decimal data type, it is given. Just convert it into value. Okay. Just application getting restarted. Again, servlet object created, all the objects created. Just application restarted. Now if I click see all, I got the data. ID, name, email, address of my two records. Update page. If I go to update page and if I want to write, if I go to update page, I want to update my email ID, where ID equal to 1000. Something like mymail.com. Update, update success. Yeah, it is not formatted well, but you can see it is showing data here. So update operation also went to success. Gmail to Ymail. Now we need Ymail I update. So the fresh record is this one. So update operation also success. In case if you want to get the data, to look to see the data in the form of map, it is able to return my data in the form of list, I mean in the form of object. User defined object type also we can able to get the data. And select all already we verify. So we can able to see all the CRUD methods using which template we are doing all these named parameter JDBC template. Okay, you guys can test JDBC template. Okay, once I upload this, run it, both will work. Okay, so the advanced JDBC template also working. In case if you want to test for 5 minutes or next 2 minutes, I'll give you this URL. Let's test it. Okay, enter values and test it. Don't delete any data. Let's see if we can get any connection issues, connection related issues. We will see. I don't think we will get it, and seamlessly your operations also will execute. NG, NG. Yeah, I shared the link. Can you all try? Oh, nice. Great. So I got many inputs. Awesome. Yeah. So does anyone see issue? Did you find any issues during inserts? I don't see any exceptions here. That means okay to use, right? We can use it. Name a parameter template or JDBC template. I don't think you see performance lag also. No much lag in your DB call. Okay. So things looks good. You can test update calls also. Okay. Even delete if you want. I will leave it for you. Okay. Named parameter template we tested. JDBC template you guys can test. Okay. You test it. Once I share the code. Okay. Now I want to, yeah, if you clear with this JDBC concept, see this is simple. Why we are using is instead of writing lengthy JDBC code, we choose to use this. When we use this templates, the benefit is we need not to write lengthy code and we need not to worry about resource cleanup also. And usually there is no much duplicate logic. Your application is easy maintainable, right? When you use this JDBC kind of stuff, it will be easy to maintain. Rather, if you use big JDBC code and whenever there are changes from business, you have to interrupt your code and lot of lines of code you need to change that might disturb the entire application. But here the maintenance will be simple because you are not dealing with connection directly. No open connection, no close connection, no create statement, no flow statement, no result set, nothing. So you are directly giving query and getting expected outputs. So that's why we reduce a lot of burden also here. Okay. Now I want to start with ORM. Okay. I want to start with ORM. Let me show you. Okay. I want to start with the ORM. If you check our content, right? Spring.html. So let me shut down this. Okay. ng-rock. Okay. So we will start with ORM. Okay. Object relational database mapping tool. ORM stands for Object Relational Database Mapping Tool, or you can call Object Relational Map. How it helps? Am I audible? Okay, the organizer is expecting technical difficulty. Am I audible now? Hello? Yeah, voice is breaking. Okay, just a minute. Just a minute. Let me check. little internet issue, but yeah, let me know if you see any lag or if you are unable to hear me. Okay, yeah. So we will start with Spring ORM. So the Spring ORM tool basically designed on top of Hibernate, or basically it is given for integration only. Okay, they don't have any separate ORM implementation. Spring ORM given just the integration class. Okay, Spring ORM just given integration class, which is called which is called for creating session factory bean. Not disconnected. Let me see. Hibernate template is a class. Hibernate session factory bean. Instead of this, let me see. We have example also, right? There are so many styles I have given, but if you want to go through them, go through this one: XML approach, annotation approach, and Hibernate template approach also. But I'm going to give you new approach, which is most useful in real time. Okay, and the simplest approach. If you go through all this, okay, it confuses you a lot. Do you guys see any issues? Any audio issue? Sailesh? Okay. So rather than giving these three examples, I'll give you pure annotation example only. Okay. Even the Spring ORM with annotation based also, it is with Hibernate annotations only, not again by using Spring annotations. So I'll be using Hibernate annotations with the Spring annotations, a full example. Okay, like how we did for JDB stem. Yeah, before that, I just want to know how many of you aware of basic Hibernate. Okay, so just in Spring ORM they given integration classes only. Okay, integration, basically what we call them is factory beans. Integration purpose, factory bean classes given in old style of Spring to integrate with anyone, right? Factory bean pattern they used to use, and they created those classes, integration library classes. Okay, so that integration factory bean classes only given as part of Spring ORM. They don't have any ORM inbuilt. Okay, so here I'll be showing you Spring ORM with the Hibernate, which is most popular. Hibernate or JPA, both almost the same. Hibernate is the implementation for JPA, Java Persistence API. So if you guys are aware of it, just raise your hand. No basic knowledge, no issues. So how many of you are really aware of Hibernate? If you know, type yes. If you don't know, type no. The basic idea is enough, but at least if you don't have basic idea, I'll just brush up your knowledge, okay? So I'll just give the overview of Hibernate, how it will function. As you know, JDBC, simple JDBC also connecting with the database and doing CRUD operations. Why Hibernate came and what things additionally it is handling, how it is handling, basic architecture, let's understand, okay? So as usual, Hibernate also will do basically meant for CRUD operations where JDBC also can do that. But what are all the major differences we have? JDBC also can do that. Using JDBC also I can able to do CRUD operations. But using JDBC you can do only CRUD operations. That too by using SQL queries. Okay, pure SQL style we will use here. We will use SQL here. And only CRUD operations I can do. Create, retrieve, update, delete. That too manual effort. As a developer, you need to write complete SQL code and binding values. As a developer will write a lot of code. You have to write complete SQL and binding data or iterations, right? When you get the data from database, iterations, binding data during insert, fetching data during select. All this you need to, right? You need to write SQL query and you need to insert your values, and during fetching you need to iterate your values. So all this stuff you need to write. Okay, whatever mean you understand it. You have to write SQL queries, you need to insert data, you need to select data, and lot of exception handlings you put there. Exception handling, because it used to throw all compile time exceptions, so you put some exception handling. And in addition to that, you need to write connection pool. So you need to work on connection pool as well, right? You need to work on connection pool. Without connection pool, if you use JDBC, we understand the problems also. And you need to work on sequences to avoid primary key violations. If I try to write points, a lot of guys go on mute if you are not talking. Okay, yeah, let me continue. So a lot of primary key violations we are getting, so we use sequence kind of stuff. For that sequence, again as a developer, you created sequence on database, and you will be creating tables. Create tables. You need to create sequences. Whichever sequence you wanted to use, you need to create it and you have to use it. That means all the stuff, right? Right, creating table onwards to writing, you need to work on both database side before writing code in your application Java side. You need to create tables properly, and you need to use that tables in your queries. A lot of exception handling, connection pool, blah blah blah. You need to write in JDBC. But when it comes to ORM tool, object relational mapping tool, things will change. Okay, things will change, and they will give lot of comfort to developer. lot of comfort to developer. As a developer, you need not to do all this stuff. We can do it in a different way. Okay, if you try to compare with the JDBC ORM tool, how it will work. Let me draw a simple diagram which we already worked with, right? A simple form I have, name, email, address data we are sending from the form and reading through controller to business, business to BAO. Okay, we are sending data to controller, to service and to DAO. Then in DAO we are writing simple SQL operations and insert. In JDBC we will write simple SQL. That SQL execute on your database. But before executing SQL, you create connection pool, you connect with connection pool, you execute SQL, all that stuff you do here. Try catch, if it is a select result set, iterations and all. If it is a JDBC template, little bit advantage is you can reduce a lot of lines of code. That is a different story. Now, in ORM, how it will convert is you need not to write any SQL here. In ORM, while using, you need not to write any SQL. Basic understanding I'm giving you. Okay, just whatever data you have, just whatever data you have, you will get it to controller, controller to service, service to DAO. Once you get all these fields, name, email address, all these fields. Okay, ORM is a object relational mapping tool, object relational database mapping tool. Otherwise, okay, I used to call it as object relational database mapping tool. You better call it object relational mapping tool, okay, or object relational database mapping tool. See how it works here. Once you get data here from front end, you send it to controller, controller send it to service, service to DAO. Once you get it to DAO, you need to store this data after getting into DAO or from controller, whichever way you do it. Finally, you need to put this independent fields, right? Name, email address, all these fields into one object. You need to keep them into one object, like Pozo class. Okay, you need to have one simple Pozo class or a bean class. Bean. Bean usually will have all the variables, your name variable, email variable, address variable. You need to have a bean class with variables. With variables, any name you can put. Let's say if it is student data, student bean, already we created right in previous examples. You need to create a bean class with the setters and getters. With the setters and getter methods. With the setters and getters, you need to create a bean. Under that bean, you need to keep these values. Let's say from here, if you send vasu at gmail.com and Hyderabad, that data you need to populate here. Vasu at gmail Hyderabad. Your data you need to populate into Pozo class. Once you get it from front end, you need to keep it into your Pozo class. Thereafter, you need to pass that object to ORM tool like Hibernate. You need to give this object to Hibernate tool. Tool in the sense, again, this is Java library only. They given Java library. Mainly in Hibernate, we have a session. One important class is session. So we give this object to session. We give this object to session. Just a minute, guys. హలో అదే అయిపోయింది. 9కి అట్లా వెళ్ళిపోదాం అనుకున్నాం. 9, 10కి. ఓకే చేయకుండా తెచ్చామంటారా? ఓకే, సరే. 9:30కి అట్లా అస్సలు నో ప్రాబ్లం. హలో, మాట్లాడతాను. థ్యాంక్ యూ. So there is an important class like Hibernate template, JDBC template, how you see, which is having methods. Similarly, this session class also in Hibernate, it is having some methods to do CRUD operations. Okay, like save, update, predefined methods we have. Save, update, delete, get, important methods. So we have like get to load. In this predefined class, there are some methods. These methods will help you to do save, update or delete or select your data from tables. So just you need to pass this object, whichever object you brought from the front end, right? Data. So just you need to give that bean to these methods, either save method. If you pass your bean to save method, what it will do, this bean map to a table in database. We do that mapping, okay? Let's say RView experts is the table. To this RBU experts table, if this bean is mapped, during this bean creation, we put some annotations on this bean. As I said, we will write a bean class, right? Under that bean class, we use an annotation at the rate table. There we mention our table name, RBU experts. So when you pass this bean to Hibernate with the data, when you pass this bean to Hibernate with this data via save method or update or delete method, Hibernate will understand. Okay, Hibernate will understand that, okay, developer wanted me to save data into table, or developer asking me to update data or delete or get or load. So via these methods, when you pass your Pozo class here, Hibernate will do lot of stuff internally. What it will do, if you use Hibernate session save method with your object, you need not to write any code. No SQL query, no insert kind of statement. Just pass your Pozo class to Hibernate. Okay. So just pass your Pozo class to Hibernate. Hibernate will generate SQL query and insert statement based on your methods. If you need save, it will execute insert operation. It will do insert operation. If it is update, it will do update operation. If it is a delete from your request, it will do delete operation. If it is a get or load method, it will do select operations. So based on the method which you choose here from session, internally it will generate all that queries, insert SQL or update SQL or delete SQL. All that SQL queries it will generate for you. It will generate for you. No exception handling, no queries. Even if you need sequences or connection pools or creating tables, all this stuff, it will avoid. Everything it will do automatically for you. Even it will create table also. You need not to create table in database. It is having more intelligence than us. If you give this bean class, first time it will check whether table is there in database or not, also it can check. There are a lot of configurations, okay? Again, if you put questions, how I can stop if already table is exist. We can control them. Lot of configurations given. So if I give this bean to Hibernate, it will create table first time if table is not available in database. So creating table is not required. And automatic ID's importance we realized, right? While insertion, I'm not giving any ID. If you see JDBC example also, during insertion I am not giving any ID. IDs are generating automatically by the code. That is the recommended, right? When you book online ticket, any reservation, you don't enter any IDs like transaction number, transaction ID. One unique ID will be generated for everyone by the applications, not by the user, right? That is not user choice. If you try to join a college and if you enter, this is my lucky number, I need that ID as a student ID, they don't provide you. If you go to car registration, whichever is the next available number, that is provided to you. That is what we call sequence. So as a developer, you need to write it. Instead, for you, Hibernate will do that. It can create sequences for you. You need not to write any SQL logic. Just you need to use this predefined API and you need to pass your POSO class. No exception handling. And you need not to work on connection pool. Hibernate will create connection pool for you. Just you need to understand how this Hibernate tool is functioning. If you do complete CRUD operations on this Hibernate, right, you will be able to understand. But the primary goal of this Hibernate is it wanted to avoid all these complications which developer is facing, creating SQLs, handling exceptions, worrying with connection pools. Apart from this, there are so many other features provided in Hibernate. Caching feature, in case repeatedly if you people are getting view all page, okay, application may be down, okay, ng is down. So if you continuously try to do select operation with the JDBC code, okay, application is down. With JDBC code, what will happen when I continuously execute this? When I continuously execute this, maybe static pages are loading. So when I continuously execute this all by thousand times or lakhs of times, always it will fetch data from table, though you have the same data also. Because we don't have any default caching support to store it into temporary memory and data. But Hibernate is having that built-in caching supports also. Okay, so if I list down a lot of features Hibernate is having. So Hibernate tool is reducing a lot of burden from our shoulder and making this CRUD operation simple. Okay, I'll give you one example. I'll give you one example. As a developer, how to use Hibernate. If you want to write a Hibernate logic, how to write it. Hibernate logic. Simple. As a developer, you will get a task or you will have a requirement. Correct? You will have a requirement to work on. Just a minute. Hello? Check. This. పొంగల్ పొంగల్ తీసుకురా ఇడ్లీ తీసుకురా మరి నీకు ఇష్టం వచ్చి తీసుకురా నేను క్లాస్లో ఉన్నా అయిపో సరే so you have a requirement. So generally, let's say one requirement came to you like business input is required a form for employee registration with the fields name, email, address, salary, phone number. With these fields, I need a registration form. This is my requirement. Client asked me to work on this. So now immediately what will strike in your mind? MVC and one database will should strike in your mind. When client asks this requirement, okay. So immediately what you need to do, you need to implement one form, you need to provide one front end with all these fields. So you need to visualize this, you need to think and imagine it. Maybe you can draw and explain to them, is this what you are expecting? You may create a template or a simple paint and you can explain them. Or you can use Mockito tools to draw address, salary and phone. So I need to create a view. Okay, maybe index.html I'll create for it. And to read this data, I need a controller. I know I need a servlet, I need a controller, and I need a service class. If I'm using servlets, while using MVC, servlet is completely avoided. Okay, I need a controller and I need a servlet, controller, business class for service, DAO. This many classes I need to write. Apart from this, as you want to use Hibernate, you need to create a POSO class which can able to hold all this data, name, email address, phone number data. POSO class instead of sending them as a simple properties, right? When you submit button here, usually this data will go in the form of HTTP protocol. When you click on your submit button, this data will go as a HTTP request object till servlet. As a HTTP request, it will go here. Once you get the data here into the servlet, what you can do, read from that HTTP request, read from HTTP request, store it into student object, a simple POSO class, and send that POSO class to controller, controller forward to service, service forward to DAO, DAO will forward it to session, Hibernate the API session, and it is having multiple methods as I said. Any method you use, finally you will give that object, student object to session. So here we have methods like save as a input, the same student object we will pass if it is a save operation. Then your data will be finally successfully will be stored into database table. Okay, in case if you want to create tables automatically, you need not to have table in database. So automatically table will be created and this data will be inserted. First time, right, Vasu tried insertion. For him it will create freshly a table and it will insert data. For this entire story, I wanted to use Hibernate. Okay, apart from Spring, I want to use Hibernate. So how Hibernate function here? Let's plain Hibernate example I'll give you. So during Hibernate usage, right? Step one, add Hibernate jar files to your application. Hibernate jars to your application. Your application can be a simple core Java or Spring application. along with Spring I wanted to use, or along with the struts I wanted to use, or a simple core Java application, whatever it is. Step 1, add all Hibernate jars to your application. Add all Hibernate jars because I want to use Hibernate API. So I must use their jar files. Then step 2, create your beans. Create required bean class with the proper mappings to table. That's it. You need to create a bean class. Why bean class? Via bean only I need to save my data into table. So this bean only will help to understand which table, on which table my data is going to insert everything. Step 3, Hibernate configurations. Hibernate configurations we have to do. That's it. Just you need to add your jar file. Then you need to create a bean class with the table mapping and Hibernate configurations you need to add. That's it. Okay. I'll show you one example. Okay. For Hibernate examples, right? What I would recommend you is go to this blog. Go to this blog here. If you go to first page, okay, Hibernate ORM. If you click here, you will see all the Hibernate jar files. In advanced Spring Boot or Maven project, you need not to add any Hibernate jars manually. But as this is a simple programmatic approach, I'll be using it. So download all these jar files here. Click on it, it will download all the jars. And the second one also, click on it, Hibernate examples. It will download all the examples as well. Okay. Download all the jars and examples. Once you get them, Hibernate jars and as well as examples. Just extract them. Extract all. Okay, just download them and extract all the jars as well examples also for your simple practice. Okay. Okay. What you do for every example, right? To practice, you may go with this order. Okay, order maybe if you go examples, lot of examples we have here. So first go with the simple insert, CRUD insert. Then CRUD update. Then select one record or delete, then select. And you can go with the annotation example also. Beyond that, auto DDL, automatic table creation or create or drop, lot of features are there. That is here. And HQL based insert like SQL, HQLs also we will be using for complex queries. For that HQLs we have HQL insert, HQL update, HQL select, we have so many. And for primary key generators to understand, here we have an example. Auto primary key generation, like sequence we used, right? Similar, lot of sequence generators we have, but usually the recommended is sequence. Primary key generators. Yeah, here you can see that primary key generators. And catchy, you can see query catchy. There are lot of catches available. Query catchy, factory catchy. Just a minute. Uh, Okay. So here we have lot of examples. Table per class, table per subclass, is a relationship, has the relationships, pagination examples. Lot of Hibernate examples you have here. So maybe you may ask how I can go through them. How I can. Hello, hey guys, can you go on mute? Okay. So if you want to learn more about Hibernate, right? We have Hibernate videos also in YouTube. Okay. Just keep that side by side Hibernate videos. Yeah. So you can go through this Durga Soft channel. There you can find. Or else I'll give all the videos. Okay. In a order. Okay. I'll keep them in a order. I'll just invite them in the portal and give it to you. Okay. Yeah. So let me execute basic example. Insert basic insert example. Just import it. Okay. CRUD insert example. If you browse it right, it will allow you to load. Okay. So it is showing some error, right? The problem. Remove that problem here. So showing these jars are not available. No problem. Just delete that. Add external jars. Just we downloaded jars, right? Go there. Add all the jar files. Bus. Now you can see the example. Simple CRUD operation example. Again. First thing you need to do, create simple POSO class. Create POSO for your requirement. My requirement is I want to insert ID, name, email address. So 4 fields with the getter and setter methods. Then next you need to create one mapping file. So in annotations scenario, you can use simple annotations. This is advanced coding. Okay, I'll show you later. During XML mapping, what we used to do, we used to create one Hibernate mapping file. There we used to map this bean class, the same bean class to table, which table we want. Argue experts, let's say, argue underscore experts, like this. And what is your database schema system? And you need to keep all your columns here. ID is a primary key, so primary key need to map it with the ID tag and remaining non-primary keys. So this is how we used to map bean to table, but nowadays we are not using any XML, just putting at the rate the table annotation is sufficient. So a table annotation directly I can map to this table without this XML. Completely I can avoid it. Okay, I'll give a full example with the annotations only. Okay, once these basics you understand. And one configuration file also we create. There we give our usually this one also should connect with the database, right? End of the day, Hibernate also internally will use JDBC only to connect with your database. So driver, URL, username, password, how many connections you want, connection to configuration also we can do here itself. That's it. basic configuration you need to do here. And when you want to save your data, see how I am saving it. Create a student object with my required fields and using session.save method, passing that student object. No SQL query if you see. Just giving my object here. That's it. Your data will insert. Try this. We have already RBO experts table. Let's see what column names we have. RBO experts is a table which is having ID, name, email, address. So here also I have fields ID, name, email, address, and they are mapped to your table only. RBO experts table only. Same table name, right? Now, if I run this client now, just see this code. Created an object. Even in real time, you never create this object. You will get it from front end. As it is that front end input you give here. That's it. One line. One liner code. It will save your data into database. If I run this now, save. Some Hibernate code is internally executed, and Hibernate generated query you can see insert into RBO experts name, email address, values. This query is not by we, it is generated by Hibernate. All the pain Hibernate is taking. We are not writing any SQL. And finally, it inserted your data. The new record got inserted. Where is it? Yeah, ABC, triple one ABC. Via Hibernate we inserted it. See how smart Hibernate is. You need not to worry about all the inserts, update, deletes. And these all are one-time configurations, okay? These all are one-time configurations to read your configuration file and to build a session factory. Session factory is like a connection. From this connection pool, for every time for insert we will get a session. This is like a connection, single connection how we are getting, right? From connection pool. Same way we'll get from session factory one session always. Using this session only we will do either save operation or update operation or delete or select operations. Okay. So this is how basically we do use Hibernate. We just create POSO classes for every table. We create POSO classes. We create a mapping file. In advanced programming, we avoid this XML with the annotations only. Okay, we use annotations. So that annotation itself is enough to map to your table. Finally, we use Hibernate session to save it. If we go very advanced into Spring Boot, even as a developer, you never write any CRUD operation also. On the fly for you, Spring only will implement this single line also, which means DAO class will not have any logic. In advanced program going forward, we will see that you will be having DAO. Okay, like this you will have a DAO for your CRUD operations. But in that DAO, you don't see even single method. You don't see even single method in advanced coding. Still, logic will be generated for you. Okay, you need not to write any code. Zero code for DO operations. That much at advanced level we go going forward. Okay, so I don't know how much you understand. It will take time definitely. Okay, for you To help you, I'll share my Hibernate material also. Okay, go through Hibernate videos. They helps you a lot. Easily you will understand Hibernate. Yeah, go through these videos. Okay, just a minute. I'll be sharing this link with you. Yeah, Pawan, I'll give you step by step. I'll clearly explain. We go until Spring Boot, right? Spring Boot approach only. Nowadays, nobody, preferring to use old style. But earlier, I had, multiple experiences when I joined banking applications which are implemented, right? Past 10, 15 years before it using Hibernate XMLs or Spring based XML approach, whichever we have seen, XML way, that will help you to understand old applications. But if it is a new application, brand new, if you are developing, nowhere, no XML files. Because a lot of time we need to spend there to use XML, configure XML, but we don't have much time. Using Spring Boot, we can do things simple, easy. Like fresher also, as I was telling to everyone that everybody can show the same skills. Means framework itself handling many things. We don't need to put much, XML stuff in a real time. The advanced Spring Boot is very simple. Implementing all this code can be finished in 10 minutes. As we see a lot of configurations, servlet, blah blah blah, DAOs being implemented, right? Nothing required in real time. Sort of code will be reduced. Okay, step by step I'll take.